So we were talking about data, right? Primary data and secondary data. So primary data is when we capture data directly from our respondents. And that could be done in many different ways. For instance, when we're doing surveys, in some surveys, we do the surveys online through some survey management tools like SurveyMonkey, Alteryx, many other survey administration tools. We can do that through mails. চিঠির মাধ্যমে করা যায়. People can send mail to us and we have to respond. That's an old process. Telephone interviews could be conducted as well. You may have or may not have received telemarketing calls. All right, frozen again.
Hello.
Sorry.
Sorry, maybe disconnected.
Frozen again.
Hello? Sir?
Yep. No, I'm still here. I didn't leave. So sometimes the internet becomes an issue. Even as you can see, even the developed world also has problems in the connectivity and everything. So don't only think that Bangladesh has all the problems. Okay, what's secondary data? Secondary data is all the data that is not primary. That means not derived directly from the consumers. Or yes, these are data that have been derived from consumers, but you are not deriving directly from the consumer. So between you and the consumer, there was something else involved which actually conducted or captured this data. So this could be company records, data from MDSS. What is MDSS? We will see towards the end of our today's class, actually, which is called Marketing Decision Support System. It could be like, some organizations selling data, as I mentioned, like, Cambridge Analytica, which was capturing data from Facebook. So they were using some of the secondary data. It could be published reports from journals in the country. Census data, every year, every country, they conduct census on different factors, whether it's population, whether it's on demography, whether it's on economy. It could be periodicals. So these are all called secondary data. So depending on which type of marketing research you are conducting, you have to decide, or you have to figure out, is that which type of data is needed by you. Primary and secondary, whether you have access to primary data or whether you have access to secondary data. So your research will tell you. In most cases, primary data is easy. You can easily get primary data, but there could be difficult situations when access to primary data could be a problem. Okay, moving on. Data collection methods. All right, we're talking about data collection methods. So when it comes to collecting the data, actually, whether that's whichever type of research you're doing, whether you're doing exploratory research, whether doing a descriptive research, or whether you are doing a causal research, you need to find out what is the right data collection process by which you can actually collect the data from the consumers. Okay, So focus group, has anyone, can someone tell me what is
Sir,
focus group?
sir, maybe your net is been buffering. We can't hear you.
All right, we're talking about data collection methods. So let's just go straight to data collection methods now. These are the various methods by which consumer data could be collected. I want to hear if someone knows some of these. Let's see, who knows which one? Focus group. Who knows what focus group is? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The audience
Maybe
should read.
যে গ্রুপের কাছে আমরা সেল করতে চাচ্ছি
Yeah, the segmented group.
Yes,
segmentation,
sir,
yes.
the targeted market people.
Not quite.
Like
Anyone
age,
else?
gender, demographic area wise.
রিসার্চ করার সময় আমি যে যাদেরকে আমার স্যাম্পল হিসেবে ইউজ করব তাদেরকে নিয়ে আর কি একসাথে বসে তাদের সাথে ওপেন ডিসকাশন করা এরকম
Yes, it's a little bit of that, but keep in mind that focus, the word focus should not confuse you. So focus group means we will come up with a group of people, sit down together with them, and then you will conduct an interview with all of them together. It's more like a round table discussion. It doesn't have to be round table, it could be a square table as well. But typically the idea is based on the area into which you are going to do research, you will bring people from that or different other fields so that you get at least 8 to 10 people from various understanding or various standpoint. You bring them together and then all of them, you talk with them together. So they will exchange opinion together, 8 to 10 people together, they will all talk. So maybe you'll start with some idea and then they will provide their opinion one by one. So it's more involved discussion where the marketing researcher's job is to be the moderator of the discussion and let the respondents talk. So they'll all talk and your job will be just be there and maybe start just, putting some random topics and let them talk. That's what the focus group is. Telephone surveys. We all know what telephone survey is. Okay, my apologies again. I'm really having some issues with my internet. See if I can fix this problem. But anyway, moving on. So the data collection methods is, we know these are some of the data collection methods. Now, what happens after this? Sampling. I'm just going to go straight to this one. Sample. What is a sample? Who can tell me what is sample?
Sorry, you're not sharing your screen.
Slide share off হয়ে গিয়েছে.
So the slide sharing being off, we can see the screen.
Yes, of course.
Sample is the portion we take from the contextual population.
Okay. Anyone else?
sample is the quantitative data we collect from the focus groups.
So I think Nuhash was right. Sample is we collect data from them and from the population.
Yeah,
Alright.
so it is very similar to like if we take a data from the population, but the sample will just represent the population. You take this sample as is it like the entire representation of the population.
Right. So when you are doing research on a particular topic, everyone involved into that will be regarded as your population, right? This population is not talking about the national population. This population is not talking about the population of the whole country. This population is all about, like, the people who are involved into the research. Imagine you are conducting a market research on the type of baby diapers, all right? The baby diapers, which type of baby diapers are actually more convenient for babies. I always use baby example because I've got a baby and I had to buy diapers and everything. And so diapers, there are different types of diapers, right? Some diapers, like anyway, I'm not going to talk about different types of diapers, but what I'm saying is that, so who is going to be your population when you're talking about baby diapers?
Parents who have newborn kids.
Yes, that's right. So all the parents, they will be your population, right? All
sir.
the parent whose child was actually wear a diaper would be your population. Maybe not all parents, but the parents whose child is as young as to wear diaper, because jader baba mayer they have like 7-10-year-old child or children, they don't need to be your population because their children would not wear a diaper anymore. So whoever has a child whose age would be below that, like maybe 4 years or below that, who will be wearing diaper, that's your population. So when it comes to gathering data, it's not always humanly possible to capture data from all of the individual within your population, right? Because in your market, you have a large amount of consumer who will need diaper or their parent. But can you capture data from all of them? It's not possible. It is not going to be possible. So in that case, you need to, in order to reduce the cost and time, you need to pick up a subgroup from your entire population. And that is your sample, all right? That is called your sample. So yes, I recently, after coming back from Bangladesh, I had to reconnect my internet and they said they're giving me 5G connection, and this is what I'm getting, 5G. So I really have to talk with my internet service provider. Like, what is the problem? But anywho, so
Router off করে on করেন.
now that will, again, if I do that, that's going to take another 2-3 minutes. I will have to reconnect everything. So maybe I will do that before next class. But today we have maybe another 20 minutes or so. We'll finish off today. So I'm not getting further into that. Because today's topic is really something very important. I really wanted to just go through this because, as I mentioned, this will be part of your group project. Your group project will be a marketing research. So that's why it's really important that you all understand this very well. So sample would be like a subsection of your entire population. That is your sample. Now, sampling could be different types of sampling, all right? Again, I'm not getting into much detail, but there are two different types. Very broadly speaking, there are two different types of sampling. probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Okay, so probability sampling, as the name sounds, now if you have been exposed to statistics before, if you know anything about statistics, you know that, you know, we've always came across the concept of, like, you know, if you roll a dice, what is the likelihood of maybe a certain number appearing? And that is what the probability of the theory of probability will be. So, and non-probability sampling. So these are two different types of sampling. In probability sampling itself is, there are types like, you know, simple random sampling, and there's types of simple random sampling is just simply from your entire population, you just simply pick and choose like 10 or, you know, maybe 20 or 100, whatever the number is, you'll randomly pick. That is called a simple random sampling, all right? And this is entirely probability sampling. Stratified sampling. Stratified sampling is making different strata or group, okay, of your.
Sir, can you give an example of simple random? I didn't hear you properly.
Okay. So when you have your entire population, and from your entire population, you're simply going to randomly select a group of participants. That is called a simple random sampling. So maybe your parent group wearing diapers, like, you know, the parent whose kids are wearing diapers. All right, let me share with you guys a resource that you'll find really handy when it comes to sampling, with some great examples as well. I'll share this with you all, so this will be really useful. So you'll find all of the different sampling types with some examples as well. Let me share that with you now. Technology is great as long as it works. Sometimes technology really could be challenging.
Yes, sir, definitely, because it's a very important chapter, and because of the net issue, your sound is being buffering sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, but don't worry, there will be enough resources and enough support for you to guide you in this chapter. Now, I'm going to share you the link from my blog. Now, a lot of you may not know that I am a hobby blogger, and I do have a blog. I've got a research blog, which is actually became quite popular. So I have been using that blog for quite a while. So I'm going to share with you this link. You'll find many other topics on research and other areas as well. And here's an article that I'm sharing with all of you. This is on sampling, complete guide to sampling. So if you go to this one, you'll find the example of all of the different types of sampling. Now, I don't expect you to know all of the sampling, at least at this stage, but just so that you can familiarize yourself with all of these various types of sampling techniques, just read through these.
Sir, are you sharing anything in the screen? I cannot see it.
No, in the chat screen. I have just put the link on the chat screen. So that's just a link where you can see the various types of sampling and some examples as well. Anyway, I'll proceed now from sampling and just moving on to our discussion of the last step, very last step. So please look through the sampling techniques, stratified sampling, cluster sampling. These are all like, making mini groups of your consumers, and then finally selecting a subgroup from your population. And you can do that in various different ways. So very essentially, or very broadly speaking, probability sampling is when you have a probability, that means you're randomly selecting, right? But in non-probability, it's not like that. It is following a structured process.